and welcome. My name is Berger Williams, and I'm here to present to you the Bay-State Banner Weekend Review. In our first story, a major legal battle is unfolding over education in America. A March executive order to shut down the U.S. Department of Education has sparked months of court challenges, and now the fate of over 1,300 federal employees, millions in funding, and the very future of federal oversight in schools hangs in the balance. The move, part of a broader plan to dismantle Federal Education Authority, has already forced 40% of the Office for Civil Rights staff to go on leave and closed 7 of its 12 regional offices. Lawsuits from 21 states, school districts, and public unions argue that these cutbacks go far beyond staffing. They claim it cripples the department's ability to carry out basic responsibilities under federal law. Student aid delays, missed FAFSA filings, and uncertainty around the Title I and IDEA funding have already impacted planning for schools in Boston, Worcester, Somerville, East Hampton, and across the country. Federal civil rights complaints are stalling, leaving students who faced discrimination with no resolution. UMass officials and K-12 superintendents say the confusion is already hurting students, forcing districts to rethink summer school, staff retention, and support services. One lawsuit, still standing, was filed by the Victim Rights Law Center and families of children impacted by bullying. A federal judge found irreparable harm in at least 2 cases where students can't return to school because their complaints haven't been investigated. The administration has argued that states don't have a right to specific service levels, but as of now, the damage is being felt in the classrooms and not just the courtrooms. In our next story, in Brockton, the future of science and opportunity just got a whole lot brighter. Massasoit Community College has officially broken ground on a brand new science building, the first of 2 new STEM-focused facilities coming to campus. Construction on a second building for health sciences is set to begin next year. Now, this isn't just about bricks and mortar, it's about building pathways into careers in biotechnology, clean energy, information science, and a lot more. For a whole new generation of students, many of whom are just getting their start through community college. Right now, Massasoit's STEM programs are growing fast, and leadership says these updated facilities are key to keeping up with that momentum. The current science building wasn't designed for the kind of equipment students now need, like the tools they're using in a new research project on local pollinators. Katie Ruggieri, who leads the science and math division, says they want the building to feel inviting, not intimidating. So when students walk into their classrooms or into their bio class, they're also seeing real lab techs working right down the hall. And they're starting to imagine themselves in those roles as well. And that matters because STEM fields have a reputation for being intimidating, especially for students of color or first-gen learners. But across the state, community college like Massasoit and Roxbury Community College are working to change that. They're not just updating buildings, they're launching micro-credential, paid internships, and new programs in clean energy and life sciences. It's all about creating access and sparking possibility. Next up, Boston is putting real money behind health and equity. The city just announced a $5 million investment into 4 community coalitions that are tackling one of the deepest issues Boston faces: the life expectancy gap. This is part of the Boston Public Health Commission's Live Long and Well agenda, a long-term push to close these gaps citywide by 2035. And they're not just talking clinics and checkups. This is about the social determinants of health, things like access to healthy food, housing stability, economic opportunity, and a lot more. The main focus this time is economic mobility. Dr. Alistair Martin, founder of Link Health and a physician at Mass General, said it best: "The biggest driver of the illness I see in my ER is poverty." The 4 coalitions receiving the funding are made up of community health centers and neighborhood organizations. Their projects range from training patient navigators in Dorchester to connecting folks in Roxbury to primary care and economic coaching through mobile outreach vans. This isn't just a one-time thing either. Another $5 million round is coming in 2028 thanks to support from the Atrius Health Equity Foundation. Now, here's why this matters. A 2023 city report found that just 2 miles apart between Roxbury and Back Bay, life expectancy drops by 23 years. Commissioner Bisola Ajikutu calls that a national tragedy, especially for Black men and women in Boston who face the lowest life expectancies in the city. With this funding and the partnerships behind it, Boston's not just acknowledging the problem, it's moving to fix it. Next up, we talk about a question that has been very prominent in Massachusetts. Should cities in Massachusetts have the power to bring back rent control? A new bill moving through Beacon Hill says yes, and it's stirring up some serious debate. Rent control has been off the table since 1994, when a statewide ballot initiative banned cities and towns from using it. But under this new proposal, that ban would be lifted and giving local governments the choice to implement rent stabilization policies if they want to. Now, let's be clear. This bill doesn't force rent control statewide. Instead, it sets some guardrails and exemptions. For example, owner-occupied buildings with 4 units or less are exempt. So are new buildings for the first 5 years after construction, plus college dorms, elder care facilities, and existing public or subsidized housing. At a 5-hour legislative hearing last week, the split was very clear. Supporters say it's a much-needed tool to keep families in their homes as housing costs skyrocket. Critics worry it could discourage investment or make the housing market worse by pushing out responsible landlords. But advocates fired back, saying this bill isn't about punishing mom-and-pop landlords. It's about reining in big corporate owners who raise rents not to survive but to maximize on profits. Also in the mix at that same hearing, a whole cluster of bills around the MBTA Communities Act, a 2021 law that requires cities and towns near MBTA lines to zone for multifamily housing by right. That law has been controversial, with dozens of towns still not in compliance, which means they're missing out on state funds. Some legislators want to weaken or repeal the MBTA zoning law altogether. Others want to go even further, expanding it to every community inside the state. Whether it's rent stabilization or zoning reform, one thing is for certain: housing policy is front and center at the State House this season. And the decisions made now will shape the future of affordability across Massachusetts for a long time.
Greetings, viewers, and welcome to The Intersection, the place where ideas, events, and policy come together to shape public health, safety, and vibrancy of our shared community. I'm your host, Suffolk County Sheriff Steve Tompkins, and together we'll examine a multitude of issues of interest as we travel along the many different avenues that make up the intersection. It's just breakfast. That's how some might see it. But for a growing circle of men here in Boston, it's becoming something far deeper, a gateway to healing, brotherhood, and generational change. On May 11th, Breakfast for Brothers relaunched at the Reggie Lewis Track and Athletic Center. And while the concept is simple, hot food, round tables, and real conversation, the impact is anything but. Born in 2010, this initiative was created as a space for Black and brown men to connect across generations, to share wisdom, to listen, to be seen, and in doing so to dismantle the old harmful notions of masculinity that have left too many young men without guidance and too many communities without stability. As sheriff, I see firsthand how the absence of mentorship and affirmation can shape a young man's path, especially in our justice system. This isn't charity work. This is public safety work. This is community healing. Each gathering begins with a nourishing meal, followed by a real, raw dialect on wellness, fatherhood, identity, and legacy. It's about showing up and staying present. It's about letting young men know they're not alone, and they never were. There's a deep need for this. Loneliness among men is rising. Emotional isolation, structural inequities, and generational trauma are compounding crises. Breakfast for Brothers meets those head on, not with lectures, but with presence. Not with programs, but with people. This work echoes a timeless truth. Our greatest resource is each other. Mentorship doesn't have to be formal or perfect. Sometimes it's just a voice saying, "You matter," a hand on the shoulder, a shared meal, a birthday song that breaks down walls built over years of silence. With support from our office and community partners like Mamleo and Roxbury Community College, Breakfast for Brothers is building a foundation, a place where young men can find belonging and older brothers can reclaim their role as cultural stewards. By breaking bread together, we can change one room, one table, one life at a time. To hear from the program coordinators of Breakfast for Brothers themselves, read our story in the intersection over in the Bay State Banner. Scan the QR code or visit www.baystatebanner.com to read on. Thank you for tuning in, and as always, stay informed, stay involved. We'll see you the next time at the intersection.
In a powerful new push for educational equity, Curry College has teamed up with the Boys and Girls Club of Boston and Literations to launch the Icardi Early Steps Literacy Initiative. Funded by Curry alum Tom Accardi and his family, the program is designed to boost reading skills for elementary students in underserved Boston neighborhoods, especially kids who are reading below grade level. And that number drops even further for Black and Latino students. Starting this fall, the pilot will roll out at 2 Boys and Girls Club locations, the Edgerly Family South Boston Club and the Blue Hill Club in Dorchester. The goal? Help at least 100 kids in grades 1 through 4 build confidence and catch up. But it's not just about reading. Curry College faculty are training all volunteers in brain-based literacy strategies, while Literations brings in their proven one-on-one tutorial model, one that typically boosts a child's reading level by a grade and a half in just 1 school year. They're also adding in family workshops and even Purple Pass field trips, giving students their first taste of college life and long-term academic dreams. And with nearly 99% of BGCB high school seniors graduating each year, this early intervention can make a lasting difference. Volunteer training kicks off this August and tutoring begins in October, all part of a long-term strategy to scale the program citywide. Because when you give a young reader the tools they need, you're not just changing a classroom outcome, you're changing a life. And that's why this program is really amazing. Next up, we see teens across Boston turning up the volume on social justice through performance. This summer, 39 teens from 12 neighborhoods and 21 schools are taking part in the Bach Center City Spotlight's Teen Leadership Program, a paid 6-week arts and advocacy job where the mission is bigger than just dance moves or melodies. Last month, you may have seen them break into high-energy flash mob dance performances around the city, but it wasn't just a vibe, it was part of their whole job description. The program sits right at the intersection of art and activism, and this year's theme is all about immigration. These teens are learning professional skills, attending workshops with local artists, and even holding an advocacy day at the Massachusetts State House. They're building confidence, community, and real-world leadership skills, all through dance, through music, and through theater. Sarah Kamara, a 15-year-old participant, says it best. This program helps with confidence and it allows you to be expressive and creative in all different forms. It's all about preserving and continuing to build a community. The final showcase will take place August 13th at 5:30 p.m. at the Schubert Theater in Boston's Theater District. And it's free and open to the public. So if you want to see what youth-led advocacy through art really looks like, this is your moment. Next up, let's talk about housing. And more importantly, housing discrimination. Massachusetts State Senator Adam Gomez is coming in with a bill that says enough is enough. The legislation is called an Act to End Housing Discrimination in the Commonwealth. It's all about holding real estate brokers accountable when they illegally deny people housing based on race or voucher status. Here's what's real. A 2020 study out of Suffolk Law found that Black renters were discriminated against 71% of the time, and renters with housing vouchers 86% of the time. That's not just a few bad apples, that's systemic. So what's Gomez's bill actually do? It requires fair housing training for licensed applicants. It adds a civil rights or housing expert to the licensing board. It increases license suspensions from 90 to 180 days for repeat offenders, and it makes sure that if the Attorney General confirms discrimination, the licensing board has to act. Gomez said this isn't about punishing all real estate professionals. It's about holding the worst actors accountable and restoring the integrity of our fair housing laws. And he's not alone. Kelly Vera from Suffolk Center for Housing Justice testified that real estate pros, not landlords, are often ones doing the discrimination. But most of them, they don't lose their licenses, even when they're caught. So this bill wants to change that. Because as Gomez put it, I can't stand idly while Black families, voucher holders, and marginalized residents are quietly excluded. Next up, opening a barbershop in the middle of a global pandemic? Sounds kind of wild, but for the Omlad brothers, it was just the beginning. In August 2020, right in the heart of COVID lockdowns, Omar and Shay opened First Yard Barbers in Watertown. And today, it's more than just a barbershop, it's a family-run hub for community, culture, and creativity. Between the two brothers, they bring over 60 years of experience to the chair, and they didn't stop there. Omar also opened First Yard Market next door just 7 months ago, adding convenience store vibes to the block. What makes this spot different though, it's open at 6:30 a.m., which means busy professionals can roll in, get a clean cut or a hot shave, and roll right out to work. And the shop is proudly multicultural, not because it was branded that way, but because of the respect and openness they bring to every single client. Even with new regulations and pandemic hurdles, they push through. Omar's advice? Be kind, stay positive, and don't let the stress of money drag you down. And for Black entrepreneurs, he drops gems. Know your market. Don't box yourself in. Oxtails aren't just for one culture, so why should your business be? Advertise to who wants what you offer. From fades to financial wisdom, the Omalads are showing what it means to build legacy, one cut at a time. Next up, let's get into some sports. Two young athletes from Boston are proving they've got the heart of champions. Legacy Lewis and Trinity Franklin, both members of the Boston Lions Track and Field Club, just earned All-American honors after standout performances on the national stage. Legacy Lewis, only 7 years old, placed 5th in the 800-meter and 7th in the 400 at the USATF Junior Olympics. And this is her second time being named an All-American. Then there's 10-year-old Trinity Franklin, who pulled off something remarkable. She placed 6th in the 800 at the USATF event and then traveled to a different state and took 2nd in the same event at the AAU Junior Olympics just hours later. Former U.S. Olympian Bernard Williams called that feat remarkable. And honestly, he's right. Next up, we see a big shakeup in the world of pro football. And this one's not on the field. Lloyd Howell Jr. has officially resigned as the executive director of the NFL Players Association following major allegations of money mismanagement, conflicts of interest, and inappropriate expense reporting. One of the most egregious expenses involved a strip club visit being filed as a player engagement event. Yes, that actually happened. Even worse, Howell allegedly told another employee to submit the report, allowing him to approve his own expenses. The law firm Wilmer Hale, which is leading the internal investigation, also flagged serious conflicts of interest, especially Howell's past ties to the Carlyle Group, a private equity firm cleared to invest in NFL teams. The law firm Wilmer Hale, which is leading the internal investigation, also flagged serious conflicts of interest, especially Howell's past ties to the Carlyle Group, a private equity firm cleared to invest in NFL teams. There's even an FBI investigation underway looking into possible personal gain from the NFLPA's one-team investment. And let's just say, players are heated. Members of the union are calling for accountability, transparency, and real reform. Many are saying Howell's actions undermined the very players he was supposed to be representing. And just when you think it can't get worse, J.C. Tretter, former NFLPA president and top pick to step into the role, also resigned after facing backlash for his involvement in Howell's hiring. So what now? With the current collective bargaining agreement set to expire, the NFLPA is in leadership freefall at a critical moment. Rebuilding trust won't just be a PR job, it's going to take a full culture reset. So this is a far cry from the days of Gene Upshaw, the legendary former director, known for his unwavering commitment to players and building the NFLPA into a powerhouse. Howell, on the other hand, walks away with a legacy clouded with some disarray. The clock's ticking, and the players are watching. So we will see.
Check 1, 2. In Boston, the show goes on every night. Did you book your trip yet? Boston never gets old.
Next up, August kicked off with some football legends getting their flowers. The Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2025 is officially locked in, and this year's crew is tight. Just 4 inductees made the cut, the smallest class in 20 years. Let's run it down. Eric Allen, lockdown corner, period. He spent 7 of his 14 seasons with the Eagles and made 6 Pro Bowls and locked in his legacy on their 75th anniversary team. Jared Allen. This man was a quarterback's nightmare. The 6'6" defensive end led the league in sacks twice, put up 136 total, and tied the NFL record with 4 safeties. 5-time Pro Bowler and all-around menace on the D-line. Antonio Gates, this one is for the Hoopers. Gates went undrafted after playing college basketball, then became one of the greatest tight ends ever. Over 16 years with the Chargers, he racked up 955 catches, 11,841 yards, and 116 touchdowns, and holds the record for most TD games by a tight end. Legend. And Sterling Sharp, whose career was tragically cut short, still managed to lead the league in receptions 3 times and cleared 1,000 yards 5 seasons straight. Now he joins his brother Shannon Sharp in the Hall, becoming the first brother duo ever inducted. Big moment, big class, big legacy. Now, let's pivot to the WNBA because there's major movement happening off the court. Bobby Wagner, current Washington Commanders linebacker and future Hall of Famer, just bought a minority stake in the Seattle Storm, making him the first active NFL player to own part of a WNBA team. Meanwhile, Boston might be getting next in line. There's speculation that the Connecticut Sun could be relocating to Boston after being bought by Steve Pagliuca for $325 million. But Connecticut's not letting go that easy. Hartford's mayor has launched a competing bid, and the state's fighting to keep the team rooted. Sun President Jennifer Rizzotti, a UConn legend herself, says Boston is a solid option, but the final decision is still up in the air. So whether it's enshrinements, investments, or relocations, the game is moving, and Boston just might be right in the middle of it. Next up, we see on July 27, 2025, a day etched into American sports history. And on that single Sunday, 5 baseball greats were inducted into the Hall of Fame, and Bubba Wallace made racing history by winning the Indianapolis 400. Let's start on the track. Bubba Wallace, driving for the 23XI Racing, the team co-owned by none other than Michael Jordan, became the first black driver to win the Indy 400. That win adds to Wallace's growing legacy and draws a direct line to Wendell Scott, who broke barriers as the first black NASCAR driver to win back in 1963. And of course, echoes of Jackie Robinson ring loud. This is one of those moments where history catches up with the present. Now, over to Cooperstown, where 5 legends took their place in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Dave the Cobra Parker and Dick Allen, both inducted posthumously by the Classic Baseball Era Committee. Parker was a 7-time All-Star, a .290 hitter, and a 2-time World Series champ. Allen, pure power, a 1972 AL MVP with 351 home runs and a swing that could end a game in 1 pitch. Billy Wagner, the lefty flamethrower with 422 saves, this man taught himself to pitch left-handed after a childhood injury and still hit triple digits into the twilight of his career. CC Sabathia, a true warrior on the mound and off. He fought through addiction, racked up 250 wins, 3,089 strikeouts, and became one of just 3 black aces, African-American pitchers with 20-win seasons, to make the Hall of Fame. And then there's Ichiro Suzuki, Mr. Consistency himself, the first Japanese player ever enshrined. He delivered his speech in English and left the stage with 4,367 career hits between MLB and Japan. Still holds the MLB single-season hits record at 262. Unreal. 6 men, 1 unforgettable day. From the Indy 400 to Cooperstown, black excellence, global greatness, and long overdue recognition all came together on July 27th. These moments don't just break records, they're breaking barriers. In our last segments, let's look into some beautiful pop-ups blooming in Boston. This summer, the city's first Latino-owned brewery, Roundhead Brewing, is on the move, literally. Founded by Luis Espinoza and Craig Panzer, Roundhead Brewing out of Hyde Park is bringing its signature Latin American flavors to parks all across Boston through a traveling beer garden series. From Copley Square to Roslindale, Eastie to Jamaica Plain, they're popping up in neighborhoods with bold brews like their Peruvian red ale brewed with purple corn and a mango IPA that's got summer written all over it. One of their beers is even fermented for 72 hours of reggae music, because why not? Mayor Wu and city officials are all in, calling the series a great way to support and activate parks, small businesses, and build community. And if you're in JP, you can catch their Static Beer Garden at 561 Center Street through September 27th. So whether you're a beer head, a culture head, or just need a good vibe on a warm afternoon, Roundhead's bringing the party to your neighborhood. So definitely go and check them out. More amazing things happening in the food scene in Boston. Teens are running a restaurant and the food is fire. Chefs just wrapped up the 4th annual Summer Lunch Pop-Up Cafe, where high school students took over the kitchen and cooked up global fusion dishes like paneer tikka masala, berry habanero chicken sandwiches, and kimchi burgers. That had people talking all around town. But this isn't just about food. It's about growth, it's about mentorship, and it's about community. Future Chefs, a nonprofit founded in 2008, gives high schoolers real culinary training and the life skills to match it. Over 5 weeks this summer, teens worked on recipe development, restaurant marketing, and teamwork, all while learning how to lead with confidence and serve their communities. For Malia, a junior in high school, the kitchen helped her come out of her shell. Quote, "You have to be vocal in the kitchen. I've learned to speak up and I've learned to lead." For Armand, it's personal. Cooking makes people happy. It's tradition, it's love, and it's how he shows up for people. The pop-up is more than just a tasty lunch as well. It's a window into what's possible when young people are trusted, when they're taught, and when they're supported. If you ever want a taste of what the future looks like or support it, check out futurechefs.net. All right, that's a wrap for this week's Bay State Banner Week in Review. My name is Brigé Williams. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you all next time.